Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Today I want to talk about something that I should have talked about a while back, but it was a question that came up from another powerlifter in my Monday Q&A, and he asked me for my thoughts on Dan Green's article, West of Westside, and is Dan right that the Westside training system, the conjugate system, is not that good for most raw lifters? And I think it's an interesting question, and I'm going to link a copy of Dan's article down below. And for those of you who don't know, Dan Green is an ultra elite raw powerlifting champion. Dan competes at under 10% body fat when he does meets. The guy's shredded, and he pretty much looks like a bodybuilder. So back to the point, I am someone who ran Westside for about 6 or 7 months and then dropped it and went back to a more conventional style of training. And I'm still a fan of Louis Simmons. I'm a fan of Dave Tate and all those guys. I think they have a lot of really good material out there. But I jumped on Westside when I decided I was going to do equip lifting. And when I started it, as a lot of you know, I had been training again for about 1.5 years after spending almost an entire year in bed and 3 years with no training due to strict doctor's orders. I was not allowed to exercise at all. So I rebuilt from nothing. And at that point, at the 1.5 year mark, I had hit a raw bench of 150 kilos. I had just hit a 225 kilo raw squat and a 270 kilo raw deadlift. Now my deadlift, when I was running Westside, I got it up to 275 raw conventional about a month in, and then I tried later, I got 280 with a single ply suit on sumo. I ran the program and all of my lifts went up. Every time I rotated back through one of my main lifts again every 6 weeks, it improved. I put on about 5 kilos, sometimes 10 kilos on every one of those lift variations. Every time I trained, all my accessory work went up, up, up. But that's the thing with Westside, is that there's a huge focus on accessory work and variations of the main movements rather than specificity of training. And I think that probably works really well for the equipped lifting because it trains your strength curve for the equipped lifting. It trains you to be strong if you get pulled out of your groove and continue with the lift. And you actually use the suit for your leverage, so you don't need the same specificity of training on everything. You just need to be strong all around. And I felt like I gained a lot of hypertrophy from it. Things like my glutes, my hamstrings, my erectors, all those muscles hypertrophied massively on this program. I gained a shitload of size in those muscles. But when I dropped it and I went back to my raw training, I found that a lot of things that Dan said in this article were true. I found that my hips would shoot up when I would try to raw squat, and I would almost turn them into a good morning because of, again, all the good mornings you do, and that very, very powerful glute and hip dominant squat. After running this for 7 months and gaining a lot of muscle mass, my 150 kilo bench dropped to 130. When I went back full raw with a proper pause bench, no elbow wraps, nothing like that, I could only bench 130 kilos. I lost 20 kilos off my bench. My 225 raw squat, when I tried 200 kilos, I got stuck at the bottom. And I tested 180 and I could only get 1 rep. My 270 kilo deadlift, I couldn't pull 250 off the floor with no accommodating resistance. So I lost 20 kilos. I pretty much lost 20 to 30 kilos on every single one of my big 3 when I went back to pure raw lifting. And keep in mind, I was still regaining off old muscle memory. I had only been training again for 1.5 years when I started that, and I carried it up through almost the 2-year mark. And I had made massive strides every single month before that, and during that time on the program, my raw lifts regressed despite the hypertrophy. And I think Dan is dead on the money with a lot of things he says in this article, and I found out myself the hard way through my own experience. Now, I've since been building those lifts back up, as you guys have seen from my own training videos. But when I first went back to the raw lifting, my lifts were downright embarrassing again. Dan has some valid points, and I think he's right that if you're going to be a raw lifter, your focus needs to be on the squat, bench, and deadlift. And I would say also overhead pressing. Very, very basic programs. And it goes back to that specificity of training. Yes, there are a lot of tools you can use to implement to improve certain aspects of the lift and better speed and things. But at the end of the day, training specificity rules. It is the king. And that's something Dan said in the article, and it's something that I think he's dead on accurate about. If you want to get better at squatting, then squat more. If you want to get better at getting more explosive out of the bottom, then squat deeper or do pause squats. You want to get better at the deadlift, then deadlift. If your deadlift is too weak off the bottom, which it probably is if you're a raw lifter, then do deficit deadlifts or focus on exploding more out of the bottom. Same with your bench press. If you suck at benching off the chest, which most raw lifters do, then you'll get stronger by pause benching, by letting the bar sink deeper into your chest during all of your training, and learning to get more explosive out of the bottom by doing it. Not by using all of these accessory exercises to do it. And I'm not saying accessory exercises don't have their place. They absolutely do. But if you want to get good at something, you need to focus on that thing specifically. You need to do a lot of it. You need to do it all the time. So I agree with a whole lot of what Dan had to say in here. And I think he's somebody who is worth listening to if you really want to get a lot stronger. So check the article out. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot first.